Hi everyone, Magnus here, back with some more explained rapid chess. This time playing a 1940 from Brazil. As you can see, they are going for the Sicilian defense. Now, I believe, tried out the Alapin. I think I played a closed Sicilian, but I might go for an open Sicilian in this one, just to show you what my recommendations would be depending on what they go for. They go for the d6, which is standard Sicilian move. Let's see what they're going to go for. They go for knight f6, of course, forcing my knight out, and they enter a Najdorf. So against the Najdorf, I actually have been trying out the move h3. And h3 is called the Adams attack, and the point is that you don't want to let pieces go to this g4 square, but more importantly, you're going to be playing pawn to g4 yourself in a lot of situations, and you're going to put the bishop on g2 to clamp down on this d5 pawn break, because eventually black's going to try and play pawn to e5, and your knight will retreat, therefore controlling this square twice, and once the bishop gets out, you're controlling it again, and then eventually this knight can go to g3, f5, and so on. So I'm going to play this move, pawn to h3. They go for e5, I'm going to play knight to e2, and h5, trying to stop me from playing g4, which means I will play g3, the more conservative option, because I still want to get my bishop out, and these knights are going to sit like this. So now my bishop and my knight are pressuring the center here, and I'm going to castle king. They're probably going to bishop e7, knight c5, stuff like this. You can, in fact, put your knight in the center. This is definitely very playable. Also, pawn f4 might be a decent idea. Actually, pawn f4 could be quite interesting. The point being that f5 would have bishop to c4, b3, bishop b4, maybe a4, and if the bishop goes to c6, I can get my other bishop out. But I think I could just go for bishop to e3, which looks like the most simple move. If I play bishop e3, queen d2, bring my pieces to the middle and try and put something in the center, that is definitely seems like a valid way to play. So I think I'm just gonna develop my bishop, nice and simple. If they ever go for b5, which is a very standard move in these positions, trying to play moves like b4 something, I can always go for pawn to a4, and if pawn to a4 and b4, knight can go to the middle. Let's say they would take me, takes bishop to f5. That doesn't look bad, doesn't look too great either. I'm thinking I might just go for queen to d2, or queen d3 maybe. No, probably queen d2. And let's just try and bring the rooks first before putting a piece in the middle. Now the big question is, do I go to a4 or to d5? If I go to d5, I would expect them to take me, takes bishop to f5. And the question is, maybe am I taking here? And they can't really take this guy, because then I'll bring a rook and they will have a pin on them. So you know what, I'm going to put my horse in the center, and instead they give me the light square bishop. Definitely makes sense. And they try and they're trying to push all their pawns. But the issue is, once these pawns have moved so far forward, I would say that they're starting to become weaknesses. Additionally, I'm always ready to break with pawn to f4 here, but I don't think that's necessary. I like the move pawn to a3. And the point is that I want to take this pawn here and exploit the fact that you have a rook that is undefended. And additionally, if you move the rook away, I will take this anyway. And, okay, so they take me, but now I'm taking, and I'm getting my rooks over to the a file. But what I was going to say is that if you move the rook away, I can take, and if you take back with the pawn, my rook has this defended infiltration square from the bishop over here, and I can very quickly get all my rooks down the a file while black is still underdeveloped. So, okay, they're jumping in their knight. There's always the question of whether or not you want to take and somehow shove d6. Now, taking and shoving d6 wouldn't work because they can take with the queen. So let's just stack the rooks. This makes the most sense. If you stack the rooks like this, probably would see a4, but then I can just take and take. So at the very least, I will be winning a pawn here, which definitely is very nice. This move, knight to e4, doesn't bother me. I can always just not move the queen there, maybe here. But let's snap this guy. And point being that black is just so underdeveloped. I'm crashing through this side of the board. If they were to take with the pawn, I'm pushing d6. But now I have won my pawn, and I'm ready to just absolutely crush down the flank side of the board, bringing in the pieces. And black is in huge trouble, still one move away from castling, but bishop to e7. I can meet this with rook a8 check. And okay, I guess they're going to go bishop d8. Ugly, but might be holding. That definitely makes sense. Okay, well, it's good to try and take control of your opponent's back rank. So let's try and do that. The question is, do I have b4 and c4, try and get the pawns moving? Or maybe am I just playing queen to c3? Queen c3, trades queens, something like castles. I can go for knight b5, targeting this d6 pawn, bishop to e7, rook takes, bishop takes. And that's not super impressive, I don't think. But I guess I could also play rook a6 in that position. So something like queen c3, takes, takes, castles, knight b5, bishop e7, and I also have rook a7 attacking the bishop, rook to e8, knight c7, rook here. It's not quite a killing blow. I can always play something like c4 there, I guess, and white will be better. But there's no finishing blow. Like queen g4, queen g5, castles. No. Okay. b4, queen b6. I think I'm gonna go for queen c3. It just seems like probably the most straightforward. At least I can get a clearly better endgame. And I think black might have successfully consolidated, actually. As in, like, they lost the pawn, but they have... They're not doing terribly. Oh, wow, that's a very... That move does not look good. Okay, so queen c6. Take. If you castle... I mean, it's just opening up my bishop. At the least. So yeah, I'm really liking the look at this check here. It's check, take, castles, and just knight c3, knight b5, and then c7. I really don't see how black is ever going to stop themselves from losing with the knight just coming into b5 like this. The bishop's range has been opened up. And in fact, I'm threatening to sack the rook for this bishop in many instances once the knight gets to b5. So once my knight gets to b5, something like Rook takes, c7, rook c8, bishop g7, bishop b7, and the rook will be stuck, and you'll have to give up the rook for this pawn here. And then it's an easy win. Same pawns, I'm just up a piece. Actually, black has one pawn for a piece. So that looks pretty good. Okay, they go for this. Takes, knight b5. King here. Threatening to promote. And then if the king goes here, then I was gonna say bishop c6, but then king c8. Okay. Already rook a6 then. Rook a6, you can't go rook b8, sack the rook here. This is covered, so the rook can't get back. This is covered by the bishop. So rook a6, bishop has to move somewhere. If the bishop moves out here, I'm pushing and getting back around with my knight, with my rook, with my bishop, and the promotion square will be covered. So let's go rook a6. And if the bishop goes all the way back like this, then knight b5 coming and c7. And if the bishop wanders up, knight b5 is coming anyway, and c7 is still on the way. I don't know if this might have been winning, but doesn't really matter. Push. Knight b5. Protects the pawn. I guess d5 can be played, but on d5 we might also have this funny rook sack maybe. Takes, bishop b6, and bishop f7, king takes. This seems way too fancy. That's not smart. Probably just rook can go to c6 here, attacking the bishop. And the bishop is very, very low on moves. In fact, the bishop is pretty much trapped. It has to go to e7 here. But on bishop to e7, boom, knight a7. So the problem is the bishop has to stay on this diagonal, but it can't. So it's pretty much just game over. Now I can take that guy and the knight. Oh no, I'll just go to knight d6 then. Seems like the most obvious. Attack the rook and push my pawn through. So still gonna have to play a game because they're gonna probably take this pawn here after taking mine. Then I can take this pawn. Guess taking it with the rook's probably most straightforward because I'm looking to sack, take this pawn. And once I can get that position, it should be very, very easy to win, even with only a little bit of time on my clock. So let's wait for my opponent to move. Don't really know what they're thinking about. They kind of have to take the pawn. Okay, they're just gonna give me this knight. Don't really know why. But now I'm going to take your rook. Give this check. Okay, check. Here. Check. King takes. And check. And that's a ladder mate. Check. Check. And that's checkmate. Good game to my opponent. Let's take a quick look at the analysis. Had a 93 accuracy against 81. So not a bad game. I might have let them a little bit off the hook. This is all part of the plan for the Adams attack. Apparently a4 a little bit better, stopping b5. I didn't think b5 was a huge problem because I always find that b5 creates these pawn weaknesses over here, which you'll see that we targeted later on anyway. So b4 definitely a big mistake, and as soon as these pawns are overextended and black is underdeveloped, you can see that I easily chip away at them and start to make very good progress. Apparently b4 a little bit more forcing, but b4, yeah, I guess they'd have to go like 97 or something, and then I just take. So I guess b4 a little bit better, but I thought this was definitely not bad. Apparently it's about +2 here. So after rook a8, bishop blocks, queen c3 is the best move. Okay, that's good. And queen c6 is also good. Getting this passed pawn and enhancing the length of the bishop. Apparently the easiest way to win is actually just to play b4, b5, b6, and close your eyes and just push, get this c pawn, get little Carl a friend, and everything will be good. But knight c3 is fine. Rook a6, c7, and this is all just technique, really. Okay, not a bad game. If you guys did enjoy this and learn something useful, get a nice new weapon for the Sicilian Najdorf, then I do hope you would consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.